All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is going to be the very first impressions of version 14.2. If anybody's tuning in, clearly I'm on a supercharger, so I'm about to go ahead and launch FSD V14.2 for the first time in my Model 3. If somebody can give me a thumbs up or just a confirmation that the audio and video sounds good in the chat, that would be excellent. I'm trying a new streaming setup, so if you guys can just give me a thumbs up. Okay, Rich B 1217, thank you, sir. Appreciate that confirmation. Hopefully the video audio is good. This is going to be the very first impression drive. I have not yet driven with FSD V14.2. I am at a supercharger right now, so I'm just trying to get everything set up. Seems like we're all good. Thank you, Rich, for the confirmation. I will unplug here in just a second, then we'll go ahead and kick off. I installed 14.2 last night, in the middle of the night. Installed it, loaded it, and that way I was able to go today. It's 3 p.m. Eastern Time, 3:01 to be exact. So first things first, what I'd like to do is, the very first thing I'm going to do is reset trip B. This way I can kind of keep count on how many miles I've driven with full self-driving. Now, they did include this, so I don't really have to do that. They've included the self-driving stats, so you can record and monitor your mileage driven with FSD. But I'm going to just reset the trip anyways, just to keep track, just to have two spots that I can track the history and the number of miles that I've driven. You could see I've driven 2.4 miles to get to here. 0.0 miles, so this is, again, absolutely no mileage, no engagement with 14.2. This is going to be the very first launch for me personally, so I'm going to share it with you guys. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Toybox. This update obviously did come with Tron, so let's enable that. Wow. Well, that's pretty loud, but pretty cool. All right, so let's do this now. That's good. We got FSD 14.2.2 is good. I'm going to go back to autopilot. And 0% brake confirm. All of this seems pretty good. Nothing that I need to really change. Display, looks like that has some new things in it as well, which is right here, scroll wheel function. I'm not going to mess with that too much right now. All right, cool. So we got Tron. I'll turn that off if it's annoying for you guys. All right, I'm going to go ahead and unplug. Give me 1 second. I'm going to unplug from the supercharger so that way we can go ahead and kick things off. Okay, got that good. And again, hopefully the audio and the video is good. I'm going to go ahead and navigate to Town Hall, which is in the middle of downtown Columbus, Ohio. What I will do is I'm going to avoid highway so that we can stick to just the city streets. Yes, Fern. To answer your question, Fern, this is live. So again, thanks for tuning in. All right, guys, let's go ahead and kick off FSD 14.2. Sorry, I'm used to saying 3 increments, so this is just 14.2. Awesome. Let's go ahead and get started. That blinker is going to probably get really annoying. All right. In my last video, if you guys watched, there's a bunch of potholes right here. Perfect. This is something that 14.1.4 failed at. And I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up. There's a huge curb right here as well. I would like for it to avoid it just a tad bit. Perfect. That was good. 14.1.4 went right over these. So now we're just waiting we're negotiating with that car. Okay. I hope the camera's picking up how bumpy this road is. But that is a huge difference right off the bat. It's telling me to apply some force to the wheel. I'm wearing a hat, so I'm just going to tip my hat up. Huge, huge debris right here as well. See this? Oh man, it's going to go right over it, isn't it? I'm just going to let it do its thing. Oh man, that's rough. That's really rough. Unfortunately, that's not fixed, but it did at least avoid the first pothole, so I'll take what I can get there. At some point throughout this video, I'm also going to do a nag test as well to see how long I can look away. Which, by the way, let me go ahead and wipe this down for you guys. Get all the fingerprints and dust out so you guys can see a little bit better. I'm using my Action 5 Pro, which is an action camera for the live stream. So hopefully it's good enough. I've heard that 14.2 is significantly better with the brake stutters. That's reduced. I've heard 14.2 is also better in terms of leaves out on the road. If you're in if you're in the northern part of the United States and you have seasons, of course you have leaves on the road. That appears to have been solved from other videos I've seen, but again, we'll make our own decision here in this video. Another thing that, yeah, that turn signal is going to be kind of annoying. We'll see how long I decide to keep that on for. But one thing I've noticed that, or heard rather, is an undocumented change, which I actually find pretty cool, is that with 14.1.4 and then 14.1.5 and 0.7, everything prior to 14.2 basically, this menu of options for your speed profile and your destination was only accessible after you start full self-driving. 14.2 allows you to choose those options before you start full self-driving, which seems like a small change, but it's actually very effective. Kind of a user experience improvement, because again, with the older versions, you had to really, or the versions prior to 14.2, you had to kind of just choose your destination after engaging FSD, which is not a big deal, but now you can choose it before. So yeah, not a huge change, but something that's just an improvement from the user experience. We see Rich says, hoping to get mine soon, still on 14.1.4. Yeah, I got mine last night, Rich, in the middle of the night Eastern time, and I'm on a Hardware 4 Model 3. Fern, is this beta or available to everyone? This is now rolling out widely, Fern. Todd, I got 14.2 this morning in Pennsylvania. Nice. If you've used it, Todd, let me know what you think about it. I stopped wearing a hat after getting kicked out. Yeah, what I do when I wear a hat is kind of tip it up, and that way this onboard camera can see my eyes. It is kind of annoying. I don't know, I'm a hat guy, so I wear hats like indoors, outdoors. I'm weird like that. So when I'm wearing a hat and driving with FSD, I'll just tip my hat up so that this camera can see my eyes, and that seems to work fine. All right, we got very hesitant there. You saw that? Very, very hesitant. I know you can't see behind me, but there was no traffic. It could have easily merged over to the left without even stopping, but it decided to stop and then merge, but it was very hesitant. Good call, Rich. I am using standard. So I'm using the standard profile right now. If you guys want me to switch that over to something else, let me know. I'm happy to play around with the settings. It is cool. So Tron mode is pretty cool. Obviously, it's just an entertainment factor. Absolutely no value to full self-driving at all, but it is cool. It is nice. I hate the noise that it makes for the turn signal. That's super annoying. It seems like you can't even turn that off. So like if I turn the volume up and then I turn it all the way down, you could see that X, meaning it's muted. That turn signal noise that comes with Tron is still there. So that is something that I probably wouldn't use very often, unless I'm trying to just like show somebody, you know, the car for the first time, just to kind of like show. It's kind of like Santa mode, right? But yeah, so they do have now the self-driving stats. That's awesome, because what I used to do is I used to use this trip meter right here that comes with almost every car, and I used to just reset it every time I get a new update to see how far I've gotten with a specific FSD update in terms of disengagements. So it was a good way to track, but now they've included that self-driving stats built into the UI, which is super, super cool. What I don't think this will show me though is if I disengage FSD, it's not going to track the number of miles I went with a specific update before disengagement. So in other words, if it's recording now 2.6 miles with FSD because I just started, and then I disengage right now, it's not going to show me, hey, you disengaged at 2.6 miles. So the reason I like to reset this here is so that I can track the number of miles that I have driven with a specific update, in this case 14.2. You can see trip B is 2.8 miles. And so if I disengage, I can quickly come here and see, okay, I went 500 miles before I had to disengage, right? Now, I went personally, I'm not part of the early access program. So I went from 14.1.4 straight to 14.2. The early access people, they had, I believe we had 14.1.5. We skipped, or the early access people skipped 14.1.6 because I heard that 0.6 was only available to employees. And then the early access folks also had 14.1.7, and then they jumped to 14.2. 14.2 seemed to only live with the early access group very, very short period of time. I want to say a couple of days at most before it started rolling out widely, like myself. Let me make this full screen for you guys. So we only really went a couple of days on 14.2 with the early access folks, and then started rolling out to most people. Curious in the comments below if you want to just let me know, hey, did you get 14.2 yet on your hardware 4 car? Would be curious to know. Obviously, as most of you probably have heard by now, 14.2 does not have any release notes in terms of the max speed offset or anything like that, so that's not part of the package. But to be honest with you, I am not missing max speed offset control. Like, I'm not missing that at all. When I first heard with version 14 that we are losing max speed, I was basically crying. I mean, it was shocking to me that they removed that and have coupled the speeding profiles, or the speeding experience, with your profiles. But to be honest, I think it's great. I'm not missing it at all. One less thing for me to have to toggle is the way I look at it, and it's actually doing a really good job. Now, I think there are a lot of people out there that still miss it, and I get it. I get both sides of the coin. I totally understand why you would miss it. It is something that was used by a lot of customers. It was something that really, really emphasized control, right? Going over this train track here. Train tracks have been a positive experience for me personally, even since 13.2.9. I want to see if we'll get some like leaves or debris or potholes out on the road. It did a good job leaving the supercharger. If you've been watching since then, it did a really good job actually. Something that 14.1.4 did not do. It failed, obviously, going past that big dip in the road at that stop sign. Went straight through it. I think it actually probably scratched the bottom of my car, which, you know, I guess do it for the live, right? But it did avoid the first set of potholes there leaving the supercharger, so that's nice. Let me get caught up with some comments here. Let's see. Working out says, no sir, still don't have 14.2 and I have hardware 4. Okay. Rich says, the only time I missed max speed is on rural back roads with no marked speed limit signs. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. So working out says no 14.2. Rich says there are certain scenarios where max speed is missed and was valuable. But I'm hoping with more data, with more miles driven across all FSD customers and the robotaxi, we'll start to see better speed decisions as it's coupled to your profiles now. I never use sloth, ever. I use chill sometimes. I use standard most frequently. I use hurry second most frequently. And then Mad Max I use pretty infrequently as well. So really, for me, I'm in between standard and hurry. I would say 80% of my drives are in standard because it's just a good blend of all profiles into one. I've noticed standard goes like 5 to 6 miles per hour over the posted speed limit to keep up with this flow of traffic. So for me, personally, that's a pretty good middle ground. Hopefully the stream here is good, the audio video. I'm using a hotspot, so this is kind of the first time I'm ever trying this. It's using my action camera, like I said in the beginning, so I really hope it's okay for you guys, good viewing experience. And I think I'll do these live streams going forward with new FSD updates. I really, really want to get enrolled into the early access program for FSD. I still don't really know how to do it. It seems like a very tight-knit club, but I want to pursue that. So if anybody has any intel or information on how I can do that to onboard in an early access program for full self-driving, that would be awesome. Makes for really good videos, makes for good content. Of course, I can get you guys the latest and the greatest. All right, let's see. Rich says, Blade Runner. Hey, Blade Runner, nice to see you in the comments, man. So we can assume that using the phone while driving with FSD is not actively discouraged by the software. So let's go ahead and do a test, actually. I'm going to steal a page from Devin, Canada FSD. If you guys follow Canada FSD, Devin, great content creator, amazing full self-driving videos. I'm going to steal a page from his book, though. And what I'll do is I'm going to go ahead and pull up the browser here. Where's the internet button here? I'm still looking at the screen, by the way, and it hasn't nagged at me yet. What I'm trying to do is find the browser here. Perfect. And what he does is he pulls up a timer. That way I can show you guys exactly. See if this one will be fine. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so let's cancel. Let's do a stopwatch. Cool. All right, so what I'm going to do here in a second, there was a squirrel in the road, so it pumped the brake just a little bit there. Let's go test. Timer in a second, and then I'm just going to basically look at my phone. I'll have available in my peripheral vision, so I'll still have a sense of what's going on, but I'm going to basically just kind of mimic what most drivers would do with the phone. So enough blabbing, let me go ahead and start this. So I'm looking at my phone. Again, I do have the peripherals ready to go, but basically I'm just like, looking at the phone, pretending to text. Rich B video looks, he says it looks perfect. Looking at the phone, still looking at the phone. Looks like we're slow. Okay, 23 seconds. It just flagged me at 23 seconds. So for what it's worth, we're at 23, 24 seconds before the phone test. I'll do the same thing here in a couple of minutes, so stay tuned. I'll do the same thing, but instead of the phone test, I'll see if I can get a higher number with just touching the screen. We'll see where it stops me or flags me with the screen. So, but not bad, 23, 24. I think that's right parallel to what 14.1.4 was, at least for me. And I also think it's pretty similar to what we saw with version 13.2.9. Not sure, what do you guys think? Is 23 seconds pretty good for the phone test? At 23 seconds, I can fire off a couple text messages, no problem, right? That's more than enough time for me. You know, if you're doing anything over that, like, it's not there. This FSD is not there yet. But for them to give you 23, 24, 25 seconds to do whatever you need to do, like, I think that's more than enough time, right? So I'm going to do the same test here in a couple of minutes, but I'm going to kind of mess around with the settings. So remember that number, 23, 24 seconds. Let's just call it 23. And we'll see if we can get higher than that just using the screen. I have not observed any brake stuttering or brake fluttering quite yet. We're heading into the city though, so we're going to be going into the downtown area of Columbus, Ohio. If you're new here, my name is Barry, by the way. I don't know if I introduced myself yet. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This is my very, very first drive with 14.2 on my Hardware 4 vehicle, Tesla Model 3. This is a standard range rear wheel drive. And I personally went from 14.1.4 and I jumped to 14.2. But yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying the stream. I think I'm going to do these, like I said, with new updates as I get them. All right, let me go ahead and get caught up here with some of the comments. I've noticed that if I hold my phone like this, I don't get flagged as often or as quick. So Blade Runner says that's a long time, hardly annoying enough to do much, in my opinion. Yeah, for sure, I 100% agree. 1D and Andy1, just the fact that you can look at your browser is an improvement. I 100% agree. Blade Runner, not enough time to jump in the back seat to take a nap, but hey, we're getting there. Yeah, for sure. We are definitely getting there. If you're wondering what that noise is, it's I have Tron mode enabled, and when it turns its signal on, it has that like noise effect. So that's what you're hearing. And it's funny because I wrote a post on my YouTube community page, and I basically described a situation where I was delivering DoorDash. So if you've checked out my last like 2 videos, I signed up for a DoorDash account to highlight the value that full self-driving offers gig workers, and then also just like I thought it would be a fun way to record FSD content. It's kind of a different angle, and you know, I just thought it would be cool and fun. But in one of the deliveries, I was delivering an apartment complex, right? And the entrance to the apartment complex was normal. It was pretty much like any other apartment complex. I made my delivery, got out of the car, went to go deliver, got back in the car, re-engaged FSD. Problem is getting out of this said apartment complex was very difficult. It was almost unachievable even for a human driver. It was just a strange, the best way I can explain it was like a super weird way to exit this apartment complex. Like it was even hard for just me to understand and interpret the way I had to exit. For FSD it was even more hard and challenging. And so we were stuck, I was basically stuck in a loop. And I let it go for 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds. And we were just circling this apartment complex because it couldn't figure out how to get out. And you know, at one point I was like, all right, well, I have to go. You know, I was in the middle of a delivery, so I had to exit. So I had to disengage and then correct it, get out of the apartment complex, and then re-engage. And I was thinking about this from the robotaxi perspective. If there's no controls, first of all, or if there's nobody in the driver's seat and you can't control the vehicle like I did, what happens? And so there was I got one of you guys, one of my subscribers commented saying, hey, this actually just happened to another content creator. Forgive me, I forget the channel, but they basically were in Austin, Texas in the robotaxi, and they found themselves in a similar situation. They were kind of just stuck in a loop, right? Whoa! What the heck was that? That was... okay. There's a brake stutter for sure. Not sure. We had a green light. That vehicle was turning. No clue what it saw. It was to the point where I heard the brake pedal pump. Like I heard the hardware on the brake pedal actually like clutch. Not exactly sure what it saw there. If you guys saw something I didn't, let me know in the live stream comments here, but that was super abrupt. So I guess that was a brake stutter. I'll count that as a brake stutter for sure. Not a great sign because we're only 9 miles in. We got one already. But we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. So anyways, just to finish that story. This did happen in Austin, Texas to another content creator. Basically, long story short, they had to contact support. Support picked up the phone in the car. Content creator was talking to support. Support was talking back. They were like, hey, we're stuck in a loop. So what they did was and this is, by the way, documented on their channel. I don't remember the name of the channel, but essentially they took control of the vehicle somehow remotely and kind of ended the loop. And the vehicle did a curbside style drop off. And then the content creator got out of the robotaxi and went on his way. But again, you know, that's such an important feature to have that remote support. But it was funny, the timing, because literally I just posted that community post like the day before that video was posted. And so one of you guys linked it to me, and then I watched it, and it was the exact same concept. Obviously different area, but same concept, stuck in a loop. Remote support had to get involved. And it was really neat to see that. I'm glad that that channel was able to document it and share it on YouTube. All right, so with this destination, we're about 3 minutes, little less than a mile. We have curbside style drop off. So we're gonna leave that as is. We're in standard mode. I'm really curious what it saw on that brake stutter there. Okay, we got that yellow light. So that Jetta just went straight through it. FSD decided to be a little bit more cautious. All right, this might be a good opportunity to get caught up with some of the comments. Let's see. If I try to change radio stations on 14.1.4, it nags me. Yeah, for sure. I mean, it seems like it's improved. Let's, well, actually, since we're getting close to the first drop-off point, stay tuned, because what I'll do is once we get to this drop-off point, we'll do a curbside drop-off. I'll put in the second destination, and then I'll try and do a nag test, but instead of the phone, I'll do the screen. I've heard that the screen's actually improved significantly. So, hey, Ann, thanks for joining in on the live stream. Great to see you in the live stream comments here. Interesting, you saw it created a little bit of distance there because this Nissan Altima was swerving a little bit into our lane. Actually, he's texting and driving. So that Altima is texting and driving, which I assume caused him to swerve into our lane. But FSD created a little bit of distance between us and Altima, that distracted driver. That's the thing, FSD will never text. FSD will never be late to anything. It will never be angry. Full self-driving technology and software. Software in general doesn't have emotions, right? Of course not. But when you mix software with driving like this, you really eliminate the road rage and everything. Speaking of that, that's funny. I got my first middle finger with using FSD. Somebody gave me the finger couple of days ago. First time ever with FSD. I'm not going to go, like, if you want me to explain it, I will. I feel like I blab a lot. All right, cool. So we're going to be doing a drop-off here, curbside. And again, once we get to this first destination, what we'll do is plug in our second stop. We'll go along the way. We'll stay in the city. So this is downtown Columbus, Ohio. So welcome to Columbus, Ohio, if this is your first time. I wonder if anything changed with the cameras on this update or not. Let's see. Let me pull up the cameras. No, it looks about the same. You can kind of get rid of these bottom pillars by scrolling up and down. Okay, let me pay attention. She was about to walk out, and FSD slowed down just a bit to understand what they were going to do. Let me make this whole screen. So it's Sunday, 3:30 p.m., the weekend before Thanksgiving. I imagine that we'll have... Oh, wow. This is interesting. It usually doesn't... Wow. This is kind of bizarre. Because typically when I plug in the Town Hall restaurant here in Columbus, Ohio, it does not drop me off here. I mean, I'll take it, but it's definitely weird that it decided to pull us in here. Not sure why it did that. Definitely weird. All right, let's go to... Should we just plug in? Should we just like start FSD without a destination? Let's do that. Let's see what happens. This channel is all about testing, anyways, right? So we don't have a destination plugged in. I just want to stay within downtown to see if we can catch anything that's of interest. I don't know if I'm going to do the screen test right now, but stay tuned because, I mean, we're in downtown with a lot of moving parts, so I want to make sure I supervise this and stay responsible. So I'm not going to do the screen test right now because I want to make sure I'm attentive, but I will. I promise that I will do that. For anybody that just tuned in, we recently did a phone test, rather, so I was mimicking texting and driving. We got about 23 seconds before we got flagged. Again, creating a little bit of distance there. If you pay attention to the wheel on video, it's easier to see when it creates distance if you look at the steering wheel. So far, looking at the FSD stats, we're 11.8 miles in. No disengagements yet, although I had a really, really bumpy start with that supercharger when I first started the live stream. Juniper Model Y in a nice, which is cool. Let me get caught up here on some of the comments. No problem. The like will save lives even with all the deficiencies that it has now. It's almost unimaginable how it would transform automobile travel in the very near future. I 100% agree. We're Blade Runner, to address that comment, we're in that transition period right now between supervised vehicles and unsupervised vehicles. So keep an eye out here. Slowing down for the city bus. Good stuff. It's very good at anticipate. It's the word I would use with 14.1.7. That pedestrian was about to cross, but the word I would use with 14.1.7, because I just got 14.2, so I can't give it, I can't give it a good enough rating yet. I don't have enough miles under the belt. But 14.1.7 is very, very proactive. It's just super proactive in decision making, as opposed to 13.2.9. It was very reactive. So, Let's see, Blade Runner, automobile, yeah. So I 100% agree. We're in that critical transition period between unsupervised vehicles and supervised vehicles. Like, we're going to start to see in the very, very near future amazing things happen with autonomous driving. Like, I think we're getting really close to robotaxi ready. Let's see. 1D and Andy1 says other drivers have a problem when FSD is courteous. Yeah, I think it's because they don't, like, when you're driving, you're kind of negotiating with other drivers all the time, right? You're in a negotiation phase pretty much consistently. If you're at a four-way stop, you have to negotiate with other drivers who's going to go, who's not going to go. So I think when FSD is being a little bit too courteous, other drivers are potentially not used to that level of courtesy. It's like, why are you letting me through? Like, you know, you're usually used to fighting everybody on the road, and you know, you're used to being a little bit more aggressive with other drivers, right? But with FSD, it's usually going to take the safer route. Wow, look at that. Look at that. That SUV was stopping in the middle of the road, I assume to drop off passengers or something, and FSD just went right around it. I think so Kay Bogren says, I think the middle finger was for the Tesla, not the FSD. Potentially, that's something I thought about as well. It's definitely something that maybe that was the motivation behind it. But in that situation, so FSD had to speed up to cut somebody off a little bit because there was a lane that was ending. They wouldn't let us into the lane, so FSD had to speed up to then kind of, I don't want to use the word cut off because we had a lot of distance, but to basically get in front of that car so that we wouldn't be trapped in the lane that was ending, if that makes any sense. Jay Watson, I'd love to watch you Tesla FSD with a dog alone in the Tesla without a driver or human on live stream. So just put the doggy. All right, so we're getting pretty far away from, oh, that was fast. I just barely looked away. Let's go back to the city line. We're still in the city perimeter here for sure. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do Goodale Park, for example. Or actually, you know what? Let's go back to the town hall area. So we'll just make a UE, but we'll let the car figure it out. All right, cool. Let's see. Proactive, Blade Runner proactive. Yes, 100%. 100%. Okay, please pay attention to the road, of course. Yellow, but it's going for it. For anybody tuning in, we are in downtown Columbus, Ohio, testing 14.2, first impressions drive. So far, to sum up, I've had one pretty significant brake tap, brake stutter, brake flutter, I don't know what we're calling it these days, but pretty significant brake experience there. Other than that, it's been pretty smooth, but I mean, I've only had how many miles with the stats? 13 miles, so not not enough to even think about grading it yet. We're going back into the direction of the basically just middle point of downtown, and then we'll go back the other way. But we'll probably hang around here for a little bit. Maybe we'll cruise away into some suburban areas a little bit. But let me know where you guys are tuning in from, by the way, if you want to drop a comment on the stream. If you're in the United States, let me know from where you're dropping in from, or if you're abroad. I'm always super interested in seeing where you guys are watching from and streaming from in this case. I'm going to turn the AC back on. Got a little hot. D Andy 1 says Arizona. Nice. Didn't that something just in terms of supercharging in Central Florida? There's like a third-party charger that allows for Teslas or something like that. Maybe I just made that up. But something recently got approved in Central Florida. PR Zemer says Poland waiting for FSD to hit Europe. God knows when. Poland, long way from where I am. So appreciate you tuning in. Yeah, hopefully FSD come to Europe soon. I get a lot of comments on my normal like long form videos on YouTube. A lot of Europeans watch. And Dan says, I love how the Tesla interior always looks clean. I love Tesla interior. So I like minimalistic styles, both for my car, from my home, from my desk setup. Like when I'm working, I strive towards minimalistic styles and design. So the Tesla, especially this vehicle, the Model 3 2024, it doesn't have the stock, so it's even more minimal. And I know that's a big debate. That's a huge debate in terms of, do you like the stock? Do you not like the stock? I happen to love the stockless design, so I love the fact that they've removed the stock. It took me virtually no time to get used to the turn signals here. So now, if you don't know, with this specific model, they've removed the stock and they've included the turn signals here right on the steering wheel. So they've baked it in as a button instead of a stock. And it took me virtually no time to get used to. I got it working a couple of hours, maybe it took me to get used to it. And so for me, I loved it. Let's see. Blade Runner, if I recall correctly, Musk was quoted as saying something to the effect that we'll be seeing sentience evident when 14.2 comes out. Are you sensing that? So Blade Runner, I do recall that. So we're going 36 and a 37 and a 35. So yeah, I need more miles driven before I can really say that. I mean, it's definitely a little bit more. I need a little bit more drive time with it. Let's see. 1D Andy, choppy signal. Oh man, I'm sorry. It might have been when I was going through an underpass or a bridge. I'm using a hotspot, so hopefully it stays connected and hopefully it stays consistent. If you do find that the stream is experiencing choppiness or inconsistent quality, definitely drop that in the comments. This is my first time trying this out, so hopefully it stays okay. Let's see. Let me get caught up here real quick. Dan says, I bet it will come to Europe in 3 years. Yeah, I could see that. I think that's a pretty appropriate timeline. Let's see. 1D Andy says, approved Tesla for Robotaxi in Arizona. Okay, so I did recall correctly. We're coming up on the drop-off point here. See what it does. Okay. That's fine. I'm gonna let it finish. Okay, perfect. So let's now go to, let me go all the way down to, let's go to Hound Dog's Pizza. Can I click this? There we go. It's gonna have to back up. Now it's gonna have to wait. You guys could probably see right here. You can see the traffic. It probably should have waited a little bit longer. Wow, that's a dog in the bed of the truck. Can you guys see that? That German Shepherd right in front of us? There's a German Shepherd. Doesn't look like it's strapped in or anything. I mean, maybe it is, but I can't see anything in terms of it being strapped down in there. Wow. I hope you guys can see that. It's probably pretty... If we get a little bit closer, you can see that. Yeah, you should be able to see now. See that German Shepherd right there in the back seat, or in the bed of the truck? It's a Toyota Tacoma. That's not something that you see every day. All right, stopping for this yellow light. Let me see if I can get caught up. Watching from Long Island, New York. JGREGOV. Long Island. Thanks for stopping in, Long Island. Alex says, watching from Seattle. Is FSD 14.2 being wide released? Alex, thanks for stopping in. Hello to Seattle. And yes, FSD 14.2 is being released widely right now. I am not part of the early access group, and I received 14.2 on my hardware for Model 3 late last night. I want to say I got the notification that it was ready to install around 2 or 3 in the morning, Eastern time. I just happened to wake up and check my phone, and I saw it, so I just installed it and then went back to sleep so that it was ready for me the next day. But yeah, it's definitely, if you're on a hardware 4 car, I would say switch it to advanced on your FSD settings, like in your autopilot software settings. Switch it to advanced and you should see it very soon. Let's see. Dan says, my hot take, Tesla shouldn't make a cheap car for now, because when they try, they take away what makes a Tesla a Tesla. Yeah, for sure. You know, I feel like there's budget versions of products in any company, any organization. There's always, you know, a flagship model of a particular product, more premium, more luxurious, kind of their flagship style car, right? I would say for Tesla, their flagship is probably the Model Y. Well, I would say it's definitely the Model Y, because it's in terms of volume, the most selling SKU that they push out. And then you have the Model 3, and then, you know, recently they're starting to push out the budget cars, right? The budget Model Y that has, like, no light bar, some other things are extracted. So, you know, I think it's definitely, like, something that is positive for more and more people to have access to these types of cars, right? In terms of, like, budget models. Sir Nenrick says, changing the turn signal or other buttons while the wheel turns is annoying. Yeah, that is one thing I will absolutely agree with. I have a lot of roundabouts here in Ohio, and those roundabouts, if I ever have to, like, use the signal for whatever reason, it's kind of annoying to do that because it's a button. And when the wheel is turning, to your point, it's definitely something that's not very intuitive and quite awkward, I would say. Pedestrian there, made a little bit of room, which is good. We're going to start to see a lot more people come out. It's about 3:51 Eastern time right now. Cernic says, yes, I much prefer stock. 1D Andy says, glad my Model Y is turned stock. My arthritis makes button pushing difficult. Oh, for sure. So in that case, I can absolutely see the benefit, right? You want to make these features and settings, and you want to make the user experience accessible to all. That's very important. So you bring up a good point. Blade Runner, yes, I lost you about, oh man. Hopefully the stream's okay. Using a mobile hotspot, so I really hope it's okay. Bill Bad Mule, nice to see you. Always great seeing you in the comments. Thanks for stopping by on the live stream. It's been choppy, but okay now. Yeah, hopefully it stays that way. I apologize if it's not like perfect, but we'll see if we can keep it consistent here. All right, lots going on in this specific second here. FSD should go around. We shouldn't be waiting. We should go. We should definitely go. Okay, good. It decided to pause there for a second, but it shouldn't have done that. It should have just went. Prius pulling out. So far, we did get one major brake stutter. I was hoping it would be resolved, but I experienced one so far. Lots of pedestrians here. One D Andy says, I'm on advanced but have not received it yet. So what I will say is that I received 14.1.7 very late. And so I think maybe their deployment cycles right now have been switched. It seems like I've been on the early deployment phase for 14.2 in terms of the wide release. With 14.1.7, I received it very late. I was one of the last deployment cycles to have received it. So, but what I can confirm to you guys that are watching is that I'm not part of the early access. And so that the fact that I've received 14.2 means that it's rolling out widely. And so if you have advanced selected, I would say keep patient, keep looking at your Tesla app. I got mine last night, November 23rd, around 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. Bill Bad Mule says, I'm in Johnson City, Tennessee. Nice. Hello to Tennessee. Thanks for stopping in, guys. We are in downtown Columbus, Ohio. We're going to stick to this area for a little bit to do some stress tests. Charge my phone a little bit there. I'm in standard mode. And I have parking selected. Actually, that's interesting. I don't see that check mark that says that it's selected. It just says park. And then the sub options under park, you have parking lot, street, driveway, that's all the same, but I don't see the check mark. So let me see. Oh, okay. Now it is. That's different. I believe that's a different experience. With 14.1.4, it would auto select what it thinks is best. In this case, I'm going to Hound Dog's Pizza Spot here in Columbus, Ohio, and I noticed it did not auto select the destination drop-off. I had to go and manually select it. Also, what I'll mention, I mentioned this when I first started streaming, this is an undocumented change with 14.2. I haven't seen it in the release notes. I heard it from another content creator. They had mentioned that now with 14.2, you can select your drop-off preference before engaging FSD. With 14.1.4, you had to first start FSD, and then you would get this menu. But now, if you plug in a destination, you can have this menu before engaging FSD. So just a slight user experience improvement, which I like a lot. That's good stuff. I'm going to check my hotspot here just to see, how much battery I have on this thing, because this is what's powering the whole setup here. And I do have cables to charge everything up. All right, so we're pulling into the destination here. We're going to park, I assume, in this parking lot on the left side. And then once we get there, we'll update the maps. we'll be clear to go right after this. Actually, there's a pedestrian there on our right side. Okay. It didn't hesitate, though. It didn't freak out like some of the other previous updates did. Okay. Let's see where we decide to park. Right here is fine. Took the first available spot, which is something that 14.1.4 didn't really do for me. All right, cool. So we got here. Let me update this to... So that's the supercharger here. North Market downtown. Brewery District. Let's go to this park, actually. Schiller Park. Let me type that in. Start full self-driving. Oh wow, that's a tight fit there. Okay, so we're pretty much going off-roading here. Very tight fit. Very, very tight fit here. Another very tight squeeze. Whew. That was to the point where I had to really monitor. We had mere inches to the left and to the right. Okay. This is where I wish that I had better camera setups. Okay. Because when we made that turn just now, there was almost zero visibility on the left. And I'm always very cautious at that because I don't know what FSD can see and not see. Like, for me, I can't see anything. I have to creep and creep and creep up. Pull up the comments here. Blade Runner says, yes, the stock is good, but honestly, we shouldn't be too concerned about human driver conveniences. The drivers will soon be unnecessary. 100%. I totally agree there. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, user experience. It's very subjective, very preferential. Jeff Kelly says, did the update have CarPlay? I don't know, actually. I haven't tested for CarPlay. I don't know if they're going to include that in this update. You know, that news article about CarPlay and Tesla was just released a couple days ago. So that might be something that we'll see in the future. Although, to be honest, I haven't tested it, so not sure 100% on that one. Let's see. 1D Andy, does 14.2 drive into your garage? So I haven't tested that out either yet because this is my first impression drive, so I wanted to make sure I save any driving with 14.2 for you guys and stream it. So I'll report back though on that when I get back. We'll see if it pulls into the garage or not. RT Squad. Nice to see you, RT Squad. Says 14.2 this morning, and it's so much better than 14.1.4, my prior version. Nice. That's really excellent to hear. I am now, let's see, 18 miles in with 14.2. RT Squad says the speed profiles seem better at maintaining a consistent speed. All right, I think now is a pretty appropriate time to test out the screen nag test. So if you just tuned in, I did a phone test with FSD, and I took a page out of Devin from FSD. Great channel. Creates great videos. And we have a stopwatch here. So I had 24 seconds before I got nagged by FSD for using my phone. So we're going to do that same test in a second, but we're going to use the screen. I want to get moving because obviously that would defeat the test. I did hear though that The screen nag is a lot better. Like, it's a lot more lenient. A lot more lenient on 14.2. The phone at 23 seconds, 24 seconds is also really good. I mean, I can fire off a text message if I need to in that amount of time. No problem. That car just had a parrot, a live bird parrot on its dash. We are seeing some interesting stuff today. Okay, let me find a good opportunity, get that screen test going. I think once we turn here on Summit, we should have a pretty open road. Okay, this vehicle is picking up passengers. It hesitated there just for a second, but I think it was a healthy hesitation. Just kind of paused, ensured that nobody was on the left, and then drove around. All right, cool. Let's do the screen test. Let me go ahead and start this. So, staring at the screen. I know you can't completely staring at the screen. I have the street in my peripheral vision, and we'll see how long it takes for me to get nagged. I'm completely staring at the screen right now. Like, I'll pretend like I'm touching it. You know, I don't want to move this so that you guys can see the amount of time, but I'm completely there we go. So we got that blue. I'm waiting for that siren though, or that beep. There. 29 seconds. 29 seconds. To me, that doesn't seem like a big improvement, to be honest. Seems pretty parallel to what we saw with 13 and 14.1.4. But let me know if you guys think any differently on that. To me, it seems pretty consistent. So 23 seconds for my phone test. 29 seconds for my screen test. Welcome to Columbus, Ohio, by the way, if you've never been. This is downtown Columbus. Pretty much the outskirts, but, you know, for all intents and purposes, basically downtown. We're going to be getting a huge cold blast next week, Thanksgiving week. Going to be dipping down into the 20s. And if you guys want me to change the profile around or, you know, do something specific with the controls, definitely let me know in the comments here. I've pretty much just been on standard the whole time, which is equivalent to the realistic experience I do on and off camera. I'm always favoring the standard driving profile. Sometimes I'll do hurry. Gonna adjust my mic here, so bear with me if you guys get any static. There we go. I'll take this opportunity to get caught up on comments. Let's see. Anne says, wonder when Ford and GM will finally meet with Tesla to lease FSD in their future EVs. Yeah, that would be a pivotal moment for the autonomous vehicle industry. That would definitely be something exciting and something I'm looking forward to as well, to see when they start, you know, leasing this software out. Moments Divine says, got 4.2 this morning too. Have to go to my Tesla service and use their Wi-Fi to download it. Hope it doesn't take 3.5 hours like 14.1.4 did. Yeah, I'll go back and see. Like I said, I got mine at like 3 o'clock in the morning Eastern time today, earlier, and then I just happened to wake up and check my phone, and download it, install, and then just went back to sleep. So I'll go back to see how long it took, though. New York's Finest one says, is there an option for it to back up into lane? Yes, there's an. I think it's somewhere in. Is it autopilot settings? I could find it here real quick. So it's telling me to pay attention to the road pretty quickly there. Let's see. It used to be somewhere in the autopilot settings, I believe. There used to be an HOV kind of skimming through. I don't see it though. Interesting. Either I'm not looking at the right section, which is likely, or they removed it. Yeah, I don't see HOV. It used to be here. We'll take another look when I'm at a red light. One D Andy says, I can pressure 14.1 garage with slight pressure on the accelerator. Yeah, same here. I don't know why it's not consistent. It only like once or twice, and then it favors just stopping on the driveway. So not sure why, but it definitely favors just pulling onto the driveway. I might be asking too much. I mean, you know, the fact that FSD can auto park rear and updates. Blade says, can I get my neighbor's nice new Tesla to park in my garage? Yeah, that's funny. You'd have to really convince them with a nice bottle of wine or something. Mitch says, with appropriate cone placement, this may be possible. That's funny. So yeah, now we're back right in the middle of the city here, downtown Columbus, Ohio. Oh, okay, so PRZ, it says, I think if you grab your phone in the hand, the signal is worse. Okay, that's good to know. Cut out again for about 30 seconds. Okay, sorry guys. Let me put that down for now. Hopefully it's okay for now, right now. I'll see if I can get these streams, you know, to be more optimal. Right now I'm just using a hotspot, like a Verizon hotspot type of thing. Okay, let me see if it, so I don't think it auto selects an option like 14.1.4 did. There's no checkbox. It's not highlighted, and there's no check mark to either of these options. As opposed to the previous update, it auto selected what it thinks is best. So just little things I'm observing that are different that I want to call out. But I'm going to just select parking lot at this park that we're going to here in the city. Little bit of hesitation there on the brake. Not major, but just a little bit of hesitation. Hotspot actually a little bit. Oh, it has like a think I might have lost you guys. I don't know if it's the hotspot or what. Yeah, I think it's the I think it's the hotspot that's not doing great right now. So let me end this trip and go back the other way. We go back this way because it seemed like I had better data going the other way. Okay, let me here see if we're back. Looks like I apologize about that. Let's see. I think we're back, guys. Did I lose you for I disengaged for a second just to again. Current location is big time choppy. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Okay. Can you guys let me know? Really apologize about the connection, but I'm going to go ahead and engage from still choppy. I apologize. By town hall. So we're going to go to town. Hopefully it's going to be better. Moments Divine says, used Grok for the first time yesterday. Got snarky with me when I told you to go away. Then I figured out I'd tap mic again to shut it off. Yeah. I heard that they're going to be implementing... okay, good unprotected left here. They're going to be implementing a feature where you can call Grok like you do Alexa or something like that. So instead of pressing this mic button, you can potentially just say, hey, Grok, or something like that. I don't think it's part of this update yet, but might be coming down the pipeline. One D Andy says, may need to root your internet. Oh, man. Is it still choppy even in this area here? Very bumpy, old historic town, or I guess region is what I want to say, in this German village area. I think this is German village. Let me move this hotspot closer out that way. Man, this brick road is just... I think this is German village. I'm not very familiar with... Whatever this is a very historic part of Columbus. And very, 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 very bumpy. From these bricks here. Like, this is wildly bumpy. cobblestones. There you go. That was the word I was looking for. Thank you, 1D Andy. Very, very cobblestoney. It ends right here though, so we should be in the clear. But man, I'm glad I have a good mount for this action camera, because that was wildly bumpy. Choppy again. Yeah, bear with me. I'm going back to the area where it seemed to be good. And I put my hotspot right in front of the dash, so hopefully that will help as well. I apologize about that, guys. I'll see how I can implement a better solution going forward for these streams. For now, it's just like a small little like Verizon. I think it's a Verizon hotspot. So we'll definitely we'll look into making this more consistent in terms of the data and the streaming and everything like that. A little bit of construction here, so let's keep an eye out on what obstacles we will face here. Okay, we gotta stop. We'll get that 0 and then we'll go through. Maybe I should look into Starlink or something like that, especially if you guys enjoy these live streams and it's enjoyable, and I get positive feedback from the FSD live streams. Maybe I'll look into investing into a Starlink setup. I think Devin from Canada FSD just recently bought Starlink as well. I'll have to reach out to him and see if he can give me any tips or tricks on that. Moments Divine says could see the suspension was working overtime. Yeah, 100%. That was a bumpy road there. Let's see, comes and goes. One moment good. Now it's good. Okay, signal seems better. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be more consistent. I was thinking about getting Starlink as well, the mini one, so I can use it in my home and car. Yeah, that's the one I think Devin got as well from Canada FSD, and it's a good portable form factor. Nice and easy to set up. You can transfer it, like you said, from place to place. So, I mean, honestly, it does make sense. It's a good investment if you are on the go and you need data in remote areas. The navigation is doing something really odd. Like, if you look at let me pull this up a little bit. You can see it's trying to, I guess it's looping us around back to Town Hall. But I'm not sure why, could it have not found a better route? Obviously, I'm not going to mess with it. I'm not going to Blade Runner says it's almost to the point where the FSD driving capability and safety issues are out of secondary interest, which is a good thing. Yes, 100%. 1D Andy says, can you go on the highway to see different speed modes? Yeah, 100%. We'll definitely do some We'll definitely do some highway tests here in just a bit. What I'll do is I'll let this navigate back to the town hall area right here, Italian Village area, and then from there we can go ahead and let me go ahead and update downtown. I think some of these buildings are interrupting the reception potentially. So if that's the case, hopefully we'll have better luck outside of the city. Yeah, so we're going to be getting on the highway here in 5 minutes or less. Hopefully the reception is going to be better outside of the city. I feel like those high-risers, or the big buildings and everything, they interfere with the connection. Okay, awesome. So we're getting on the highway here. Let me know what you guys want me to test, which profile. I'm currently stuck in standard. And so if you guys want me to upgrade that to Hurry or Mad Max, I am happy to do so. That sun is blaring. So I got an alert right here. It says camera visibility limited, clean all dirt and debris from the camera. I've noticed that happens when the sun is really, really bright. So it might not be like a debris problem, it's just blinding the camera, and the camera is like thinking, oh my God, there's something in front of it, because it's so blinding that it can't see, and so it thinks it's debris, but it's not. It's not the first time I've had that happen. Is the connection better now that we're outside of the city? There are still a lot of like overpasses here on the highway, so I assume that might interrupt with the connectivity a little bit, but I'm hoping that going out of the city is better. So hopefully let me know if that's the case though in the comments here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and switch this over to hurry mode. So right now I'm in hurry mode. Let's see what happens here. Moments Divine says, I was so fortunate the guy tailgating me didn't smack into me on the hard brake out of the blue. Yeah, that's something I'm always worried about as well. I really dislike when people ride my tail. All right, guys, are we back? Sorry about that. I had to restart my my router. Are we back? Oh, back online. Okay, sweet, awesome, awesome. I really apologize about that, guys. I'm glad that we're back online. I had to restart the router, or the hotspot. So I'm hoping that it's better now. We're on the highway. I am going to. Let me see if I can end this current trip. I'm just gonna go to, let's see. We'll just go to the Gahanna area, and that should allow us to remain on the highway for at least a little bit more time. Make this full screen. I appreciate all of your patience, by the way, guys. Really, really do. Thank you for sticking with me during this amateur hour of streaming. Just trying to do my best. But yeah, we're on the highway, hurry mode. We're cruising. We're hurry mode definitely likes to move. I mean, for obvious reasons, right? But you know, we definitely like to move here. If you guys want me to bump it to Mad Max, I will. When I'm off camera, I don't really use Mad Max, but for testing purposes, I'm happy to do so. Hurry mode is perfect enough for me. To sum up for now, what I've observed with, let's see how many miles we've gotten now. Autopilot, we've got 42 miles. 42 miles with FSD, and wow. Created a little bit of room there if you saw that. I don't know how well the camera picks up those proactive movements that it does. Like just now, it just created a little bit of distance because the car was steering in our lane. But 42 miles in, we had one brake check. We had 0 disengagements. Speed is pretty good. Pothole avoidance is also better, not great though. So it's better but not great. Better than 14.1.4, but still I've observed room for improvement. So overall, 42, 43 miles in, not bad. But again, I don't have enough miles in me yet to really give a good grade. When I hit 500 miles, I'll have a really good understanding of what 14.2 is like. But for now, it's too premature of me. It would be disingenuous of me to provide any feedback on this version. All I can do is speak on the things that have happened thus far. One brake check, speed is pretty good, potholes pretty good, so we'll keep an eye on things. Make this full screen. Tron mode is cool, kind of a gimmick more than anything. Looks like Mad Max. All right, cool. Let's do Mad Max then. I'm going to switch it over. So I just switched to Mad Max, as you can see right there. I'll leave that open if it lets me. So one of the things I've noticed with Mad Max, by the way, is that Mad Max does not really change the speed as much. So if you're in Hurry or Mad Max, I've noticed that the speed is about the same, the top end, but what's different is the behavior. So when I'm in Mad Max, FSD will do things like cut in front of cars. So if this car in front of me is going too slow, it'll change lanes, speed up, and then pass it, and then move back into this lane. So it's not like, I haven't noticed too much of a speed difference but I have noticed that Mad Max really has different decision-making points. So take that for what it's worth. That's just my experience in my area. Again, every area is so different. That's why it's so important to have as many customers as possible use full self-driving all across the country, and ideally all around the world, but let's just focus on the United States for now. It's so important to have customers everywhere geographically, because we collect different types of data sets that way. My region and style of driving in this region is totally different than California. California is totally different than Florida, etc., etc. It's just very different decisions that FSD has to make depending on the area that it's in. Obviously, New York City right now is probably the stress test of it all. Like, that's the end all be all. That's probably the just the side of places like maybe even Seattle. Seattle is the thing about Seattle is it's not so hectic in terms of traffic, although it's up to par with any other city. But Seattle is so different in terms of the hilliness, the grades of the street. When I was there, I remember it just being like a roller coaster. And so that's a challenge in and of itself for autonomous software, because you have to gauge how fast you should be going down a hill or slow, and then you have to be gauging the blind spots that you get when you're going up a hill, and then it kind of flattens out, but you won't see that flat point of the street until you're over it. So like your nose is up in the air, and you might not see a car that is directly in front of you because you're literally, your bumper's in the air. That's how hilly it is in some parts of Seattle. So that's a challenge in and of itself. Not necessarily the traffic, the pedestrians, the cyclists, but more so the sort of like the physical infrastructure, the physical streets. Another thing I've noticed is that if you use your phone with FSD, this is not specific to 14.2, by the way, but what I've noticed is that if you use your phone and it keeps telling you to pay attention to the road, and you keep kind of abusing it over and over, the threshold really starts to shorten. So basically they're taking the stance of, if you do it once in a while, they'll give you up to 24 seconds in my test earlier on this live stream. But because I've been abusing it and I keep pushing it and it keeps telling me to pay attention to the road, I'm no longer at 24 seconds. Like, if I do it again now, which I'm not because I don't want to get flagged, but I'm probably at like 5 seconds. So it's kind of like if you know what exponential back off means, but the reverse of that. So it's really just giving you a grace period if you're not abusing the system, but once you start abusing it, they're really starting to kind of hone down on narrowing down that privilege, right? Which makes sense. Like, once in a while, shoot a text off at 23 seconds, cool, put your phone down for the next 30, 60 minutes, do it again, you should be at 24 seconds again. But the more you do it, the less time, the less allowance the software is giving you, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So, with that being said, I probably won't be able to see the comments as much. I'll look at them at red lights and stop signs, which is something I should be doing anyways for the safety aspect of it. So, all right, I'm gonna probably disable Tron for now because can I do it when I'm driving? Oh yeah, I can. Okay, so you can disable it while driving, but you can't enable it while driving because it has that whole like feeder thing and like that whole animation, which would disrupt the driving experience. So you can't enable. Let me show you. If I go back to Toy Box, see how that's now grayed out? So you can't enable it, but you can disable it. So what I'll do is I'm going to edit this trip here, and then we'll just go ahead and add a stop. We'll just do like POW or something. Add that in there. Make that full screen. It gets dark so early now with daylight savings, which I don't like. I'm still in Mad Max. I'm going to go ahead and drop down to her standard, because I definitely, the only time I really use Mad Max is or maybe in a congested city, but in rural suburban roads like this, I think Mad Max is effective. If you have a more aggressive driving style normally, then you would probably like her in urban areas like this. Now that we're here, let me see if I can sneak in some comments. Okay, I'm getting a ton of... When I get to the next stop, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can and then respond. I'll see you all later. Thank you so much for stopping in, 1D Andy. I really appreciate it, man. Have a great Sunday evening and a good week. Happy Thanksgiving to you. We're driving now, so I'm going to focus back on the road so I don't get flagged. If you're wondering, gas here is area $2.61 for reference here in Columbus, Ohio. End of November. Wycliffe, your signal is bad, brother. Yeah, I really apologize. I'm using a hotspot, so like I was saying earlier, I am going to have to figure out a better way to do these streams. If I'm getting good feedback from you guys and you enjoy these live streams for FSD, I'm going to have to figure out a better way to do this. So bear with me for now on this stream. Hopefully it stays consistent enough to be enjoyable, and then if there's enough positive feedback on these streams, I'll see if I can maybe invest into a Starlink or some other better, some other mechanism to have data come in differently than I am right now. So bear with me. Appreciate your patience. I know it's not ideal. Once I get out of the downtown area with all the buildings, all the radio signals, it would get better, but so we have some sort of, which is actually going to be for us, for FSD to it's capable of, and what potentially it's not. So left lane is a sort of event. Either some sort of event. I see a bunch of I don't know if the camera's picking it up yet, but you in a second here for sure you'll see it. We're stopping here because there's a lot of law enforcement activity. They're limiting traffic. We have a green light up ahead, but we're not moving, which means that they're limiting traffic. Buildup of traffic. Trying to go, so our map data, this is an interesting situation, is we're trying to go left. I don't think that we can because these cones here are blocking us off and there's a cop car. So we're going to have to brake. So this is a good opportunity to see what it's going to do in the event of a like we have here. The maps are telling it, hey, I got light, but there's a physical block out in the world that is preventing full self-driving. Doing that, the camera should be picking up that cop car right up ahead. It looks like it's stretching past the light, so I don't think that we can take a left. I think that road is, so let's see what happens here. Yeah, Moments Divine says the holiday traffic jams have begun. That is 100% for sure. I feel like Saturday, Sunday, today, going into Monday, on the incline of the traffic, or holiday traffic. You can see clearly, if you look at the maps here, it's trying to have us go left. We can't do that. It's going to have to go straight. Recognize that this is a lots of pedestrians. Or what, some sort of it's going to wrap us around. I'm going to edit this trip and remove. Go ahead. I think it's going to have to go came from. So let's see what happens here, because this is and a ton of cops too. Let's go. We should go. Very good. I have to try. It's making a left, but I'm afraid down there's that Corolla flashed its high beams out. FSD recognized that. Moments Divine, I see you're still online. Can you limit? The fact that it's not trying to, being patient. See it try to like avoid these people. There's just and you see, so now it's perfect. Good stuff. It saw that blocking the way out. And go down there. That's where the event is. So this is very. Admit that this is very challenging. It's a little unsafe as the supervisor. I don't know why it's even trying to creep up, to be honest. We're basically just stuck. If you look at the do something. Let it do its thing, but it can't go forward. It has to go back. Lots of people. It needs to find its way back out. But there's a lot of people, and there's a car right behind. I hope the stream is good because I really want this to. I really hope it's somewhat okay though. Basically stuck. We need to be reversing. There's nothing behind us. Aha. Why I hope the stream is good. I hope the quality is good because that was awesome. Take. Fortunately though, that way, and that way is close. I hope I'll have to disengage, but people, lots. Now it's trying to go back. Do its thing. It can't. Obviously, it can't exit that. Yeah. Well, this might be. Hold off disengaging as best as I can. As much. Dropped us off, guys. Just quit on me. It just said, "Hey, I can't." You know, just basically stop the trip, and so now I have to. So I'm going to take this spot right here. You guys can go. I'm just going to let the I'm going to it basically just quit. I really thought it was going to fix itself when it started back. So that was limit. It did not succeed. And I have to manually get us out. So if that was because we would be stuck. So I will re-engage from here. But that was an interesting thing to at least see and document. So I'm able to do that, but totally quit. So it got to the point where it was stuck. 50 moments divine. Opportunity to go. This Toyota here on the left stuff. Up and by. So if that was a robo-taxi, we'd have to call out of that pickle because, you know, parked itself in the middle. Done. I can't figure it out. So remote support, I have to get. either somehow control it remotely. It'd have to somehow figure out a way to instruct the FSD to, back out in the way that it should. So lots of edge case. That's 100% an edge case. The left side of the street, all of these vehicles are going to that. Definitely lights on the street. Past 5 p.m. Eastern time. The sun is quick. Now, how many miles in? 4 miles in with 14. Blade Runner says coaching. You heard that right. Unlimited data works like a charm. Might want to look into. Yeah, for sure. If spot or mobile connect Starlink or kind of like Blade Runner, I'll absolutely recommendation. If anybody has suggestions on streaming on the go like this for streams for YouTube, definitely. Moments Divine says from Moments Divine. What United States? It's definitely sun is quickly setting here. Just PM. We'll be getting back on the highway out here as well in just a minute. I'm going to switch to Mad Max. You can see I'm in Mad Max mode right there. Blade Runner says that Alley Brain teaser was a pretty high bar. Yeah, 100%. That was a really high bar. Like that is a classic edge case scenario, and it's one of those things that are very difficult to train the AI database on. But that's why these edge cases are so important, so that we can get better outcomes for those types of edge cases going forward. And that's also why I would love to be a part of the early access program, so I can flag those things. I really need to get in contact with someone that can help me out. So we're in Mad Max. You can see how quickly these lane changes are happening. Very, very, very fast lane changes here. Blade Runner says the real solution was to get out of the car and yell at somebody. Yeah, that's always a good option as well, Blade Runner. So you can see it's giving me the message that FSD is obscured by my hat, so I tipped the hat up a little bit again to reset that. Mad Max on the highway, 80 miles per hour. And this is what I mean. Hurry mode also tops out at 80. Mad Max also tops out at 80. So it's not a speed difference that I'm noticing. It's more of a behavior. Mad Max is more aggressive, which you would expect, but I would also expect the speed to be topping out a little bit faster than hurry mode, but that's not the case. '81. Nice and smooth though. Nice and smooth. Making a lane change now over the middle. That's interesting. I guess it didn't want to hug that left lane if it doesn't need to, because we have a pretty clear opening here, as you can see. Moments Divine says more human-like behaviors. Yeah, for sure. Doing a lane change here to the left side. Squeak Graves 4724, hello. Thank you for tuning in. We are doing a first impressions FSD drive on 14.2. This drive alone is about 59 miles. And those are the first 59 miles with 14.2. This is a hardware 4 vehicle for anybody just tuning in. I hope the connectivity is better now than it was before. We're in Mad Max mode. Interesting, it hesitated there for a second, but committed finally. I think 14.3 is when unsupervised drives will happen. For me personally, I need more miles with 14.2. I just got it, so I can't give it a fair assessment yet. I want to get to about 500 miles or so before I give a healthy assessment on what I think about 14.2. 14.1.4 for me was excellent. It was really good. I experienced the same thing that everybody else did: brake stutters, brake checks, little bit of hesitation around pedestrians. So I've encountered those issues, but all in all, it was a great build. It was a very stable experience, very consistent experience. So with 14.2, I'm only about 60 miles in or so. I need a little bit more time with it before I can give an assessment. To summarize the current drive though, 60 miles, we had one brake check. Speed has been good, no problem with speed. We had no disengagement, but what we did have, more notably, in my opinion, is FSD finding itself in a situation just a few moments ago in an alley where there was an event going on, a holiday event, and a lot of traffic, a lot of pedestrians. The alleyways were blocked off, and it found itself in a situation where it couldn't get itself out of that specific environment. And what it did is it quit. It tried to get out once, couldn't, and then the car put itself into park and disengaged from FSD by itself. So I don't think that's a disengagement. I would count that as the car quitting for the lack of a better description. It just quit. But again, that was a very high edge case, classic edge case. And apart from the one brake check, it's been pretty good. But I'll check in with you guys. Oh, we have a Cybertruck over there. I'll check in with you guys at 500 miles for an assessment, because it's too soon for me to say. Just told me to pay attention to the road, so I will. Going 78 in the left lane here, Mad Max mode. 65 mile per hour speed limit. We're basically passing most of the traffic as you would expect in Mad Max. I'd say we're passing more than half of the traffic at this point. We're going 81. It's moving. It's moving. We peaked at 82 just a second ago. And it's preparing to exit the highway in 1.8 miles, it seems. But it is moving. Doing another lane change, getting ready to exit the highway. It's getting pretty dark, so I think what I'll do is I'll turn these lights on for you guys for the camera, because this camera doesn't do well in low light situations. This is an Action 5 Pro for anybody wondering, from DJI. It likes a lot of light, so it doesn't do great in low light situations. Another swift lane change here. We'll be merging off the highway in 0.7 miles. Drop the AC down a little bit, making another lane change here. Still maintaining Mad Max mode. I try not to use Mad Max off highways. Okay, so a little bit of brake check there because of this vehicle. Wasn't sure what it was doing, so it just was very proactive. That didn't feel like a brake stutter to me. That just felt more like proactivity. It was being cautious of what that other car was doing. Making a change into this lane where as this lane is ending, we're merging into the proper lane. One more change here. Perfect. Good stuff. We're in Mad Max. Okay, it's braking because this lane is ending. So good stuff. Good stuff there by changing lanes preemptively and not waiting until the very last second. Mad Havoc 1. Yes, I will post this most likely as a video on my long form video on my channel. If that's something that you guys would like to see and reference later, because a lot of people can't, view the stream as it's live based on your schedule. So I'll likely post it. I do know that at certain points of this live stream there were some connectivity issues, so that might not be ideal, but I'll go ahead and post it anyways as a long form video, so that anybody that would like to go back and look at all the highlights, you are more than welcome to do so. I appreciate all your support, by the way. I really do. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, it really does help me out a lot. Go ahead and click that subscribe button if you do enjoy this type of content. I'm trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It's definitely a big goal. It's a hefty goal, but I am staying positive that I might get close to it. Yeah, if you enjoy this type of content and you have not yet subscribed, I would appreciate your support. Cruising down nicely in Mad Max on this back road, in Suburban, Ohio. Suburban, Columbus, Ohio. Squeak says, how's the car? This is probably my favorite car I've ever had. It's a great vehicle, with and without FSD. I just like the car. It's very minimal, it's very nice, it's very comfortable. What I will say is, this is a Model 3, by the way. For my next car, I think I'll probably stay in the Tesla ecosystem just because I really, really like it. What I'll do is probably get a Model Y for a little bit more space. So, you know, this is my very first EV, by the way. So it was a good way to get my feet wet with a Model 3, small form factor, very sporty, very clean, very nice. But what I will do for my next car is most likely go with a Model Y. Coming up on this fork, and we are projected to turn left here. We're clear. Good stuff. I love testing FSD on these back roads because it's so windy, very curvy. It's there's not much traffic, but it's still kind of, it's just very nice to see FSD drive through these back roads. Very comforting. It's very nice, very relaxing. Matt Havonic says, yes, I'd love to see, didn't get to see the entire stream. Want to see the interesting moments, like FSD quitting in the alley. Yeah, for sure, 100%. That's a very pivotal moment in that alley. I'll see if I can extract that and maybe make that as a YouTube short, or maybe make another long form video on that, just talking about my comments, like in a studio type of format. Because that was a very pivotal moment there for 14.2. It wasn't a disengagement, but it was something that, you know, is very edge case based. So, it's getting quite dark now. It's 23 minutes past 5. I love these back roads. I really do, especially with FSD. It doesn't make for great content potentially because there's not a lot of pedestrians, not a lot of cyclists, things like that, but it's very soothing, it's very comforting. It's just, especially with FSD, you know, it's going through these windy roads, it's very nice, very comfortable. Got these beautiful houses here on the left side. Got a Hardware 3 Model Y right in front of us. Slowing down for these train tracks. By the way, I'm still in Mad Max. Going through this roundabout very nicely here. Is the stream okay, guys? Let me know if the connectivity is good. I think I just got an alert saying that there were some issues, but it seems like we're okay. I just want to make sure that you guys can see and hear me okay. Going through these train tracks again very nicely. I'm not going to comment too much on the train tracks just because that's already been solved for very nicely. No regressions on train tracks. It's been very solid even since 13.2.9. It's been very good. Shannon says, why buying the Y, how much? The main motivating factor for me, Shannon, on upgrading to the Model Y eventually, it's definitely not happening anytime soon, but for my next vehicle, when I am willing and ready to do it, I will go with the Y because it's a little bit more space. I think the Model 3 is great. It's tight on space. It's more sporty, smaller form factor. Nothing wrong with it if that's what you're going for. But I do like to have a little bit more space in the cabin and in the trunk. And the Juniper, the new Model Y, it's a great car. The suspension is better, by the way. I've driven it, and comparatively speaking, the suspension is significantly better than my 2024 Model 3. I will absolutely, hands down, any day of the week say that the suspension is significantly better. Okay, so we are approaching the end point here on the map, which is just the center point of this city, this specific city, which is Powell. And okay, perfect. It's going to actually park us right up in here, which is completely fine. Just don't, oh no, it's using the handicap spot. Ugh, that's terrible, 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 terrible. So as you can see, it's parking right in the handicap spot. Clearly, that is not solved in 14.2. Let me get out of here right away because, this is definitely not something that I want to be blocking. So there's traffic though, so bear with me for a second while I back out. You could probably see the traffic here on the screen. I'm just going to wait for a second here for that light to turn red, most likely. You can see that traffic is still building up. I think I'm clear to go. So what I'll do is I'm going to back out of here. And it had a nice spot right next to the handicap, but unfortunately it decided to steal that spot. So that is unfortunate. Let me make a right turn into this parking lot here, get caught up with comments here for just a second. So yeah, 14.2 handicap parking is not solved, nor did I think it was, by the way. It's not something that I assumed was the case, but it's still good to get that data point in there. So let's see. Getting caught up on comments here. Mad Havana K1 says, how much do you pay for insurance, by the way, if you don't mind me asking? It's Tesla insurance, so I use Tesla's insurance in the state of Ohio. They do allow for Tesla insurance. It's roughly about, depending on the driving habit for that month, because it's typically coupled with the driving score. It's I want to say anywhere from like $70 to $90 a month. Is there anything noticeably random Josh Reel says, is there anything noticeably different with 14.2? I just joined the stream. Well, first of all, random Josh, thank you for joining the stream. I would say so let me pull up the FSD stats here. I am at 72 miles. So I'm at 72 miles with FSD V14.2. It's not enough for me to give a good assessment yet, but what I will say is we had one brake check. Speed has been really good. We had a situation a couple of minutes ago, which was a significant situation. It wasn't a disengagement, but it was stuck in an alley. There was a major holiday event going on. A lot of people stuck in an alley. FSD couldn't get out of said alley, and it quit. It totally just quit. Shut itself off. It put itself in a park, disengaged FSD. So I'm not counting that as a disengagement, but I am counting that as a major issue. But again, it's I don't even know if I can use the word major issue in this case, because it's it's an edge case. So, I'll let you guys be the judge of that. Is it a disengagement? Is it critical? I'll let you guys be the judge of that. And what I'll do, by the way, is I'm going to post this video as a longer form video on my channel, so you guys can go back and first of all look at the entire stream if that's what you wish to do, or if you want to scroll back and see just that edge case scenario that I'm talking about right now, you can do so as well. Let's see. Dark Meat says, yeah, next update got to work on understanding and avoiding handicap spots. Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's definitely not solved. Blade Runner says, what's wrong with the handicap spots closer to the door, for crying out loud? Yeah, for sure. And there was a spot, if you notice, there was a spot right next to the handicap that it could have taken and it would have been fine, but it decided to go for that handicap. So I don't know why it's such a challenge. You know, I thought that with 14.2 they would have solved for this already, but you know, I'm not a developer. I don't know the software, so maybe it is a significant challenge, but clearly 14.2 still is a thing with that. So let's see. Not too bad. I have a plaque and never parks in handicap figure, right? Yeah, yeah. That's funny. Divine, all good. Yes, yep. All right, guys. I think I'm going to go ahead and call it here. We've been streaming for quite some time. It's getting dark. This camera I'm using doesn't really play well in the dark either. So I will call it here. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them now before I do end the stream. But I do want to take a second to thank all of you guys for tuning in, for watching the streams, watching my videos, supporting me on my journey, content creator journey. It's been really awesome and very fun. You know, if there's anything that you guys want to discuss at length, I'm happy to do so, either in a stream or in a longer form video. You know, it's definitely my pleasure. I have a lot of fun doing these things. It's a lot of fun. So let's see. Nice time, great fun. Blade Runner, thank you so much for tuning in. Moments Divine, Dark Meat, Shannon is in here. I want to call out some people that were in here. Just scrolling up in the comments. 1D Andy, he had to drop earlier. And by the way, I wish you guys all a great Thanksgiving if I don't do any streams until then. You know, the holiday week is coming up. Going into tomorrow, Monday, it's pretty much going to be a lot of traffic, a lot of travel. So if you're traveling, safe travels. I hope you enjoy the holiday. Hope you enjoy Thanksgiving. I'm a senior. FSD is godsend for me. Yeah, 100%. Squeak Horror Greaves 4724 says, where's the video going to be up? It says, the video is actually going to be posted on my regular channel. So I'll convert this live stream into a longer form video for you guys to all view. And then you can go back and look at that edge case in the alley where it basically quit. That's a nice car. What is that? It says, is that a, oh, it's a Lucid. What's Lucid? I don't know what kind of car that is. Fancy car though, very nice car. Okay, cool. So guys, thank you again. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. Appreciate you guys watching, chatting, hanging out. Take care.